Hey guys, welcome to Lakeview. This is our neighborhood guide. I'm Samuel Shahan. I'm a local real estate broker, but I've been living in Chicago since 2007 and have fallen absolutely in love with it. I'm here to help you explore the different neighborhoods that Chicago has to offer. There's 77 of them, and this is one of our favorites here in Lakeview. Now, Lakeview is huge. It is the one neighborhood that most people will look at when they're looking to move to the city of Chicago. Now, this neighborhood is so large that we do kind of distinguish the little micro neighborhoods within it, and we are so excited to help you explore the differences of each of these neighborhoods, including East Lakeview, Wrigleyville, Southport corridor, and even a little bit of Roscoe Village and the West Lakeview area. Now, we are standing in the AIDS Garden Chicago, which was a memorial for the LGBTQ community and in the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, which happened right here in Lakeview. And this is such a beautiful park that they actually just installed within the last year. And it's right on the lake, right next to Belmont Harbor, which is the whole reason why a lot of people really love Lakeview, is the lake access. This is a part of our neighborhood guide series, so if you like this video, definitely subscribe so that you see all the other videos that we're gonna have coming to you. And as always, if you're looking to live in Chicago or a neighborhood hunt, we would love to help you explore the different areas of Chicago and helping you discover what neighborhood is the best for you. So feel free to reach out to us. We will leave our contact information in the description below, and come on and help us explore Lakeview. All right, so now we just left the AIDS Chicago Garden and we are crawling our way up into Belmont Harbor. There's actually two harbors in Lakeview. You have Diversey Harbor and Belmont Harbor. Now, the nice thing about Belmont Harbor is it is right off of the highway, and it is so pretty and picturesque along the lake. The one thing about Lakeview is there are no beaches, which is a little different than a lot of the other neighborhoods along the north side of Chicago, but we do have the barriers that are concrete that allow people to really enjoy the lake as well. You actually, on the south end, have a driving range for golfers as well as a mini putt-putt place. And then on top of it, you have a big football field that they actually just put in for flag football, a really nice park for kids. Now, Belmont Harbor right here is full of boats. They actually offer sailing lessons, which is really kind of fun. I've had a lot of friends take advantage of this. And on the north side of Belmont Harbor, you do have a little dog beach. They actually have one of the local pet stores put up a dog washing station right there. So you can just walk across the street and you have access to a beach with your dog that's enclosed. Now, the other thing that we like to talk about is housing. Obviously, being a real estate broker, it's always fun for me to kind of divulge what different things people can purchase in the area. Now, some of my favorite things about this area is going to be the high rises. And if you're looking for a high rise, you're only going to find it on the lake. And so if you look at the skyline right behind me, there is a plethora of different types of high rises that you can kind of choose from. Now, there's a bunch of old school buildings which were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that are steeped in vintage galore. Now, the one thing about it is the HOAs are gonna be a little bit higher just because of the age of the building. It does require a little bit more maintenance, and so it has staff, it has a lot of the things that a lot of people really like. For most people, it's going to be a lifestyle. Now, there are other buildings along Lakeshore Drive that are a little bit newer being that they were built in the 80s, 90s, and some of the early 2000s. So there's a lot of different opportunities for you. Now we can go and explore a little bit more of the lake. Did you actually know that there's only 4 working reclamation points, and they take the water from Lake Michigan, where we process all of the water all the way from here in Chicago all the way out to actually the suburbs. It's insane. Also, one of the coolest things about living on the lake is every year in August, Chicago puts on the Chicago Air and Water Show, this is the perfect location to view it. And so being over here, you actually get all of the Blue Angels, the Thunderbirds, all of that fly past here. And they also practice the couple days before. So it's so much fun to watch. But then also, I don't know if you can see it, but you actually have Navy Pier right there. And Navy Pier has fireworks every Wednesday and Saturday night. And they're free fireworks that they put on. And it's just one of the nice free things that the city has to kind of offer. So now we're heading into East Lakeview. And so East Lakeview is the first part off of the lake. And so it's very densely populated. What you're gonna find is a lot of high rises, but also a lot of apartment buildings and some condo buildings as well. Not a lot of single family homes, but there are a couple that are gonna be scattered throughout. The one caveat and the bad thing about the area is that it does not have a ton of parking, and the traffic over here is a little bit harder because the streets are pretty narrow, and there's a lot of one-way streets that kind of like meander throughout this neighborhood. So this is like where the divide between Lincoln Park and Lakeview really come into play, because Diversey is kind of our cutoff between Lincoln Park and Lakeview. This little pocket right here, you have a lot of just like different types of properties, which I feel like in most Chicago neighborhoods don't have a ton of variations between a lot of properties. So this is kind of like fun if you like a dynamic, different type of neighborhood. So welcome to Broadway Avenue. Broadway Avenue is actually one of the cutest little streets that I actually personally like. It has a ton of different like shopping and restaurants and kind of everything that you need. I actually used to live right there on the corner of Briar and Broadway. I had an amazing unit that was like kind of a top floor walk up. We actually had our own personal roof deck, and funniest story was we went camping on the roof deck and we left our tent up there, and it flew over onto the street. That was back in 2009, so very fun situation. But the nice thing about this neighborhood is there's always stuff that's changing, but the dynamic doesn't ever change. So it keeps the integrity of the neighborhood. Lots of really great restaurants. Literally right across the street is Stella's Diner, which is so good. It is always packed on the weekends, but has really good breakfast. And then also right across the street is Maison Marcel, which is a newer French bakery, which just opened up a couple years ago. It's awesome. So Intelligentsia Coffee right here is very well known throughout the city of Chicago. It's a local staple brand. They do really, really, really good coffee. So Wild right here is one of the best patios in the entire city, and I really love it. It's one of my favorite restaurants. They have a cute, really, really quaint little bar. So if you want specialty cocktails, it's one of the best places. And the patio is dog friendly. They're locally owned, and they also own Lady Gregory up in Andersonville. So guys, we are standing right outside of the Laugh Factory, right off of Belmont and Broadway. And one of the things about Belmont Street is that there is actually a ton of theater that most people don't actually even think about. So you have the Laugh Factory right here, but also right down the street is the Theater Wit, which is small little mom and pop plays, which give a lot of people the opportunity to get on stage and perfect their craft. Now there's also a really great little improv studio that's also right down the street. And then you also have a ton of live music around the neighborhood, including the Vic Theater, which is on Sheffield and Belmont. You're gonna have Shuba's, which is on Southport and Belmont. So lots of really fun opportunities around this neighborhood if you're liking live performances. So the other really fun thing about being in East Lakeview is that there's so many small mom and pop shops. So you're not gonna see a ton of chain restaurants. You may have your like Walgreens, there is like a Gap, but at the most part, it is locally owned, locally sourced urban community, which is kind of fun. This actually used to be where my ex and I used to own a little bakery. It's called Phoebe's Cupcakes way back in the day, but unfortunately it didn't last through the recession. But it was so fun, and the reason why we picked this area was it was just super lively and it had a lot of stuff to do, and a lot of people walk along Broadway, so you got a lot of walking traffic, which was awesome. Hi, I used to live on this street actually. I lived right down this street, which was so fun. I loved this little neighborhood. It was so great. All right, guys, so now we are on North Halsted Street, which is designated Boystown, but a couple years ago they actually changed the designation of the neighborhood to call it more North Halsted Street, which is more inclusive. Now, this area has been a gay mecca since the 1950s, when a lot of gay men would flock to this neighborhood, and just in terms of being safe. Now, Halsted Street is synonymous with all of the gay bars that are going to be here in Chicago, including some all-time favorites, which is Sidetrack, which is one of the larger gay bars. You also have Roscoe's, Halsted, Lark, which used to be called Halsted's. That's how long I've been here. So yeah, let's go explore Halsted. I mean, so the roots of this street are so fun for me because I have been in Chicago since 2007. I went to my very first gay bar when I was 19. I worked at Express back in the day, and I would sneak into Sidetrack with a fake ID. My fake ID got taken at Roscoe's, so they did a really good job. But way back in the day, the Splash used to actually be called Mini Bar, and I used to do bottle service on Thursday nights. Get this, back in the day, you could buy a full bottle service with me serving you for $20. Let's say I just worked there for 2 to 3 weeks. It didn't last very long, but it was a fun experience. All right, so walking down Halsted Street, again, this is the gay bar mecca. This is actually one of my favorite gay bars in the entire city, which is Sidetrack. It does musical Mondays as well as Sundays, and they also have a rooftop bar, and they do dog days. So once a month, they allow your dog to actually come into this space, and you get to get drinks with your doggy. It's a very welcoming community, and it's a huge space with multiple different rooms. So if you want something small and intimate, or if you want to just walk around, we call it a fruit loop if you want to do a lap around a gay bar. So tip and trick. So one of the great things that I love about our community is that we always give back, and we always look out for the less fortunate. And so one of the big things about this area has been the Howard Brown Health Center, which has been here forever, but they actually just reinstalled a brand new location that they just built up this last year. So this is here. They do free health care testing, or HIV testing, STI testing, all of that. It's been a really great pillar of the community and making sure that everyone is super healthy. All right, so now we're transitioning literally from North Halsted Street. It does go further north, and there are a lot of other stuff up there, including the Whole Foods, really good restaurants. There's actually a really great, cute bar that is a hair salon that turns into a bar at night. It's called BZ's. It's kind of really cool. And then also right across the street is Willie's, which is a really great little chicken tender restaurant. It's kind of like eat in, eat out, like you just go in and grab it and leave. But they make everything in penis shapes and vagina shapes. So it's really kind of fun, but it's such good food. So a lot of different dynamics in the neighborhood, which is so fun. But like I said, we are transitioning from being in East Lakeview over to Wrigleyville. So these side streets are really beautiful. Actually, we're on Cornelia Street, so there are a lot of courtyard buildings. But if you are a couple blocks south, Newport, Roscoe, Buckingham, all of those are preserved streets. So they are landmarked, so pretty, really distinguished trees, which are really a powerful thing in a neighborhood. I think it really makes or break a neighborhood, and it just shows the history of it. So come on, keep on following me as we go up to Sheffield and Clark Street, which is where our Wrigleyville is gonna kind of start. All right, so welcome to Wrigleyville. This is the land of the Cubs, which is our baseball team, one of the two. Literally, the red line stop is right here. It accesses all the way south and all the way north, going from Belmont, Addison, as well as Sheridan. All right, so now we're right outside Wrigley Stadium, built in 1914, and is a classic, iconic Chicago monument structure. Now, this neighborhood has changed so much over the last couple decades, and the big part of it recently has been the Ricketts. The owners of the Cubs have been purchasing up a ton of land around here and developing it so that it is this new entertainment hub. Now, the good thing is a lot of things have come into the neighborhood. The bad thing is it's kind of lost a little bit of the integrity of the neighborhood, but it looks really nice though. So right outside of Wrigley Stadium is Gallagher Way, which is a really nice little homemade park that the Ricketts put in, and it services a very essential need for the neighborhood, which is having a little green space. So they do movies in the park in the summer, they do an ice skating rink in the winter, as well as the Chris Kindle Market for your holiday shopping, which is really fun. Now, Marriott put in the Zachary, which is right across the street, with high-end cuisine, including Swift & Sons Steakhouse, which is really just kind of nice. Now, Clark Street, which is what we're on, has a ton of bars and restaurants. It is a hot area for going out. That being said, living close to here is a little bit rough if you don't like the nightlife. You do have to kind of go through it, so just be understanding of that. But the buildings around here are stunning. Should I be concerned about people in Wrigleyville? The fact that we have to have a no diving sign around a fountain and it literally isn't even a fountain. It's the sprayers. No diving? I'm glad they're safer than sorry. My favorite place in Wrigley, which is newer, but it's the Hotel Zachary. They actually, on the second floor, have a really great bar. They have the outdoor space, which you kind of see right there, but then also they have this intimate, like, little area right next to the bar where they have a fireplace. It is so cute, and it's just one of the best places to, like, grab a cocktail in the neighborhood. All right, so coming on these side streets in Wrigleyville, when you're west of Clark Street, is just such a quaint neighborhood. And it really is so different from the rowdiness that Clark Street has. I feel like this is quintessential Wrigleyville, where you have all these gray stones or brick two-flats. It's very common for this neighborhood. There's gonna be smaller buildings, actual bigger buildings that are gonna be in the neighborhood as well. It just has a very continuous feel of the neighborhood. So unlike East Lakeview, where it's kind of a little bit of everything, this is gonna be a little bit more homogeneous. So it gives it a really nice integrity of the neighborhood. It's just like so well manicured. It's so nice. You also still get the tree-lined streets, but there are aspects where, you know, there's a lot of sun that comes through. So these units are bright. The other thing that I kind of like about them is typically you have a 3-foot setback. These are a little bit wider, so the floor plans are a little bit more, have more depth, which is really kind of nice. So you actually are kind of also seeing a lot of these 2-flats be converted into single-family homes, which is really nice as well. I feel like as we cross Lakewood, we kind of get more into the Southport corridor area versus Wrigley. So you're gonna find a little bit of a difference with Southport. You're gonna see that the buildings actually start going up a little bit higher. So you're starting to get 3 flat buildings. It still has a really dynamic view of the actual neighborhood. You get tree-lined streets, and these are huge trees that have been here forever. Now, the thing also that I like about Southport is you have access to the Brown line. It will service Southport. There actually is a stop right on Southport as well. So if you actually were a couple blocks south of here, so if you're on Roscoe Street, you do have the train that will go right behind your house, similar to like a Wilton Street or a Sheffield in the Wrigleyville neighborhood. Again, the thing that I like about Southport is it's very, very, very residential. So it's gonna feel a lot different than East Lakeview, which was a ton of different types of properties. It's all nestled on each other, a lot more high rises. This is going to be a lot more open, which is really kind of nice. And then at the end of the block, we have Southport, the actual street. This is where all of our restaurants, shopping, all of that is going to be located. I feel like Southport has had a lot of really great restaurants come in, including Stephanie Izard's new restaurant with Little Goat Diner, which is just really good dining, a different take on it. You also have Southport's Music Box Theater, which is really cool if you're looking for something unique to kind of do. It's actually one of the older theaters that came around as the silent movies were turning into the talkies. And so it was the first theater with surround sound, but they've redone it. It's stunning. They do a lot of film festivals there, so it's kind of a really fun like thing to do in the city. If you head south, you're gonna find a lot more shopping. So that's where J. Crew is gonna be. Lululemon is right there. All like the major kind of like brands have like small little satellite places. And then you have really great restaurants. So now we're on Southport Street. If you come down this way, like one of my favorite restaurants in the neighborhood is Ella Ellie, which is right off of the street, kind of hidden in place, but it's so nice. And it has a great little fireplace that I love getting like cocktails in. So Southport stretches the entire strip from Diversey all the way north to Irving Park. Now this is one of my favorite kind of blocks because for a food purpose, you have Coda di Vipe, which is a great Italian restaurant. That's one of my favorite restaurants. You have Little Goat Diner, which is right here. And then Tuco and Blondie is on the other corner, just kitty corner from here. And then you also have a Toco, which is a brand new restaurant from the people who brought you Mama Taro down in the West Loop, which is supposed to be amazing. I personally haven't tried it yet. It's on my bucket list of things to go to. Let's go on the side streets and do a little bit more of a kind of look at this neighborhood, because this neighborhood does change when you go further west of Southport. It goes more into into frame housing. Which is really kind of great. And again, just another like little different vibe. And then we'll kind of like close out. So here in Southport, when you're in these kind of like more residential side of the neighborhood, we do have like kind of like our A-frame kind of buildings. It gives it a juxtaposition between a bunch of different types of properties, but you have this, which could be right next to a condo building, which is a brick condo building. So it gives a little bit of everything for everyone, which is kind of nice. The other thing that we forgot to mention and talk about were the school districts of the neighborhood. All of these neighborhoods have phenomenal schools throughout. So in East Lakeview, it was Nettlehorse. We have Blaine School District. All of these rank in the top percentage of elementary schools. You also have Lane Tech High School, which is the public high school that services this neighborhood and all of Lakeview. You also have Lakeview High School, which also serves the neighborhood too. So thank you so much for exploring the city of Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood. I could literally spend hours talking about this, so I know that this video cannot encapsulate all of the different vibes that all these different neighborhoods have, but if you have questions, always feel free to reach out to us. As always, we would love for you to like this video if you've stuck around with us this long, and also leave a comment. We would love to know what neighborhood you live in and what your favorite aspects of all these different micro neighborhoods are, any hotspots that you would suggest to other people who are exploring the city of Chicago. As always, we want to help you live your Chicago lifestyle, so if you are looking to move to the city of Chicago, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to help you in that endeavor, purchase or sell your property in order for you to come and maintain in this neighborhood. Enjoy and see you next time. Ah!